Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am here to review Love After Lockup episode, I don't know, 30 something. I'll put it in the description. But the title of the episode is Third Time's a Charm. And I know I'm really late with this upload, so I just want to jump right into it. So let's talk about, and I want to kind of keep these segments short because we had a lot of couples that we're going to have to go through. So Anissa and Jeff. If you recall, Anissa is the self-proclaimed cougar who is dating Jeff, who's a little bit younger than her. She says she's 51 and he's 40. And today is the day he is getting released. Well, she's gonna go pick him up from the bus depot. He's coming from Louisiana to Tennessee, where she lives, and she's taking along her friend Kyle with her for the ride. She's at home trying to get all dolled up, 'cause she wants to look good for her man. Again, she is a little older than him, and she wants to impress him. Kyle still doesn't really even fully believe that Jeff exists because there's been no evidence of him. But Anissa's like, no, like, he exists. You're going to meet him today. I'm going to bring him back here. We're going to get married. He's going to get a job, and he's going to just live a boring country life. And she can't wait for it. So they get down to the bus depot. They're waiting. WeTV tries to set up the sort of bait and switch, like, oh, is he not going to show up? She's standing outside with her, welcome home Jeff sign, waiting. The bus pulls up. Everybody gets off the bus door's shut and drives away. And it's like, where's Jeff? She's kind of distraught for a few moments, like, oh my gosh, is this happening again? Like, I'm gonna go home and burn the wedding dress. But lo and behold, here comes Jeff, like, walking from around behind the bus depot. Did he say that he had fallen asleep on the bus and the driver had to, like, wake him up? I don't know. It's a setup. But, they're reunited again. She said that he's 40 and she is 51, but I don't like to talk about people's looks, but he is a rough looking 40-year-old man. I mean, I get that you just got out of prison, but his clothes are disheveled. His hair is like all mussed, he's like unshaven. He's missing some teeth. He looks extremely tired. Like, I get it. Prison is hard. And that was like your third stint in the joint, but like, damn, like he just, I watched True Feelings, her YouTube channel, and she said that she thinks that, Jeff catfished Anissa a little bit because she said that Anissa looked Anissa looked disappointed. I didn't catch that. Maybe I missed it because I write a lot of notes, but I would believe it because, Anissa likes him young. She likes him handsome. She likes them well built, cut up, and like full of energy and fun. And this old man looks tired. And I get it. And maybe he's just ready to settle down and like, enter into Anissa's empire and be taken care of. We finally get to meet Jeff one-on-one in his confessional, and he says that, when he met Anissa, 9-10 years ago, she was just a hustle for him. 100%. He was using her for money, and that Anissa sent him about $50,000, of which he just spent all on drugs. And when he was released those 2 times prior, he had absolutely zero intention of ever meeting up with her and being with her. I mean, at least he's honest. But, this third time when he got sent back and they reconnected and they started communicating again, this time he really just fell in love with her. And Anissa has his heart and he wants to be with her and do right by her, and he's not going anywhere. So, okay, they do share a few kisses, and, now it's time to get him to the halfway house, on time so he doesn't get in trouble. She introduces him to Kyle, her friend, and at first Jeff is, he's polite, like, hey, nice to meet you, thanks for coming along, which was smart. She was smart to take Kyle. You don't know who Jeff is, really. Like, sure, you've talked to him through letters and phone calls, but I mean, you have no idea who this man is and what he's capable of, But as they're driving, Kyle's kind of asking questions and, just letting it be known, like, this is a good woman you have here, like, you better do right by her, or you have me to answer to, And Jeff is just getting annoyed, like, who is this guy? Why did you bring him along? Why do you have a friend that's a man? Like, he's kind of getting a little, in my opinion, like, calm down, Jeff. Like, you just got out. Like, this is her best friend. He's been around. Where have you been? But he's just like, he's getting annoyed. Like, if this guy doesn't shut up, like, I'm going to punch him out. And I'm like, calm down, Jeff, calm down. They get him to the halfway house. He's going to be there for a few weeks, and he just hopes he can, it'll go by fast so he can just reunite with Anissa and be with her. And I'm like, I don't know, Anissa. I don't know if she's getting exactly what she was banking for. He's not quite the young stud I think, she had her heart set on. I don't know, Anissa. I think you're in danger, girl. Courtney and Josh, they kind of had a short segment, Josh has been out for a few days and he wants to reconnect with his grandmother, whom he considers to be his mom. He calls her mom. She was the woman who essentially raised him. But apparently not too long ago, he wrote her a really mean, nasty, ugly letter just telling her that he hated her. She ruined his life. How dare she put him into like foster care? And, you know, he regrets it now because he didn't mean those things, especially because just recently his grandmother's husband passed away and he was still in prison, couldn't be there for his grandmother, much less go to the funeral and pay his respects. So he just really wants to apologize and reconnect. Courtney says she's met the grandmother a few times and that she is the sweetest, most loveliest old woman. And, you know, she can't imagine why, you know, Josh acted out in that way, but he has. So he calls up his grandmother on the phone and, you know, is like, hey, grandma, you know who this is? And she's like, yeah, Josh, I know who you are. You know, she raised him. So he's like, I'm out of prison. You know, I really want to come see you. I want to visit you. And she's a little apprehensive at first, like, I don't know about that. You know, I think she's hurt from the letter. And he knows that. So he tells her, like, you know, I really just want to see you. I want to have a conversation. I want to explain myself. I want to apologize in person. Like, I love you. And she's like, okay. You know, she relents. Like, you can come by. And so he says, okay, we'll be by tomorrow, like 8 o'clock in the morning. See you then. So they do just that. They head over to grandma's house. Grandma answers the door and, you know, we get to chat with grandma and she says that, yeah, she did raise Josh because, you know, he had an ain't shit mama who was on drugs and never around. And the dad, you know, who was kind of around a little bit for some visitation, basically had it all stripped away when he was caught giving Josh alcohol as a minor. Like, and I think like a young minor. I'm not talking like as a 16-year-old, but like as a 12-year-old. And so, you know, she's been there for him. You know, she didn't get into like the foster care, you know, situation. And, you know, I think she did the best she could. She's elderly, you know, some things are out of your control. It's clear that she loves Josh, you know. Courtney leaves them alone for a little bit, like, so they can talk. And he just tells her that he loves her and that he's really sorry about the letter he sent. And she asks him, like, yeah, what was that all about? And he just says, you know, well, I was just, you know, really upset at the time. I was acting out. I was really hurt. I was really angry, you know, hurt people. And he tells her, you know, it wasn't just you. Like, I was really mean to Courtney too. And the grandma's like, well, you know, you better not do that anymore. Like, basically, don't fuck that up because that's a good girl you have. She's been through a lot herself. So, you know, you better treat her right. He says, like, no, I know. Trust me. I know what I have. It's kind of amazing, you know, that we're still together considering all that we've been through. You know, we didn't even, like, we're married, but it wasn't like a real wedding. You know, it was like 2 people there by proxy. And he tells his grandmother that he wants to have like a real ceremony with Courtney, you know, even if it's just the courthouse with like 5 people. He wants that, and he wants to do that for Courtney. And the grandmother tells him that, yeah, he should. You know, Courtney comes back at this time just like, hey guys, you know, and kind of settles back in with them. And she also in her confessional shares that she would also like some type of ceremony, that it would be, you know, really meaningful to her, you know, considering all that they've been through. And, you know, that, you know, sure, that's what we all want. So that was pretty much it for them. You know, I guess we'll see what happens. It's kind of a boring segment, but you know, it's always nice when families can reconnect and reunite. And so I'm glad, you know, for grandma's sake at least, like she didn't deserve that. So I'm glad they were able to work it out. Doug and Rachel. Like I said in my very first review of the very first episode, they need to get Dougie Jr. into some counseling and therapy immediately. Like if this kid, you know, it's like this, it's unfair in life sometimes, like the cards you're dealt, like he didn't ask for all of this mess that he's in. And he deserves like every opportunity that every child should have in this life. And I know life isn't fair, but it's just like, damn, like let's help this kid out, you know, let's help him work through some of this. You know, Doug's been out for 1 day. Rachel's mom is going to bring Dougie Jr. to their house because she's been taking care of him while they've been, you know, hitting up the hotels. And so she brings him to the house, you know, Dougie Jr. just like runs to Doug, falls into his arms. He's not punching him. He's not telling him he hates him. It was really sweet. You know, Dougie Jr. says this is like the happiest day of his life, you know, that he feels complete. And all the while, Doug Sr. is hugging him like, all right, you know, this means you're not going to be able to mouth off. Like, I'm around now. I'm going to be putting you in check if you get out of line. And Dougie Jr. is like, yeah, the same goes for you too. And Doug Sr. says like, who's putting me in check? And Dougie Jr. says, Rachel. And Rachel's like, yeah, Okay, so, they all go inside to sit down, and the mom asks, like, so how's it going? How's it been this past day since you've been out? And Doug tells her, like, oh, it was great. Like, I got out, we went straight to the hotel room. We were getting busy, trying to get you another grandchild. And I'm just like, that's not what Rachel's mom wants to hear, Doug. Like, that's really not high on the priority list of like things to get done right now. How about you getting a job? That's kind of like where mama steers the conversation. She just asks him, like, so what's the plan? Do you have a skill? Did you take any trade classes in prison? Like, what are you gonna do for work? And he just tells her, like, yeah, I took some classes in prison, but it's just in general gonna be really hard for me out here to find a job. But I'm gonna do what I do and make it work and find something. Rachel can see that her mom looks concerned, but Rachel just has the highest hopes, like, that it's gonna work out. He's gonna get a job. He's gonna be a great dad, and just like, but mom has been down this same exact road with Rachel, and she has her eyes wide open. Rachel, not so much. So the mom asks, what are your plans for the day? Rachel says, we're just gonna go have some lunch. You're welcome to come. Do you wanna come? And the mom says, no, I think it's better if just the three of you go, kind of reconnect. And Doug, you kind of get to know your son again. And Doug Jr. is just like, again, he's never known me ever. And I'm like, ooh, here we go. It's sort of this like, I'm no psychologist. It's just my armchair psychology thinking that, Dougie Jr. is hurt. He's angry. He's got things to work out, and the way it's like he's expressing it is through this sort of passive aggressive way. And it's not untrue. Like, Doug Sr. really doesn't know his son. He hasn't been around but for 40 days out of this boy's life, and Doug Sr. wants to say, like, I'm not a bad dad. I've just made some bad choices. And it's like, well, you've been an absentee dad. You haven't been there. Like, and I feel like Doug Sr. just sort of automatically expects this sort of like respect from his son. And I don't know that you've really earned it. Like, you haven't like really been around. Like, who are you to this kid but just dad in name? You know what I mean? So Doug Sr.'s kind of like, oh, okay, excuse me. I give him credit because he kind of lets it slide. He's not like coming back at him hard, but he tells him, like, hey, I've been watching you on your TikTok, your Snapchat or whatever. Like, I've seen you with you and your girlfriends. And Dougie Jr. is like, girlfriends? No, I don't have girlfriends. I have one girlfriend. I'm not like you. I don't have like 10 girlfriends in 3 years. And I'm like, ooh, again, just very like, and Rachel's just like, and I'm thinking, like, what has Dougie Jr. been exposed to? What has he seen? Has he lived with other girlfriends? Has he been shuffled from, like, girlfriend to girlfriend to, like, girlfriend's mom? I don't know. But it's like, the kid knows some stuff. He's seen some stuff. He's heard some stuff that, maybe Rachel isn't even aware of. I don't know. So, the mom's like, okay, well, that's my cue to leave, She gets up, Rachel's walking her out, and Rachel asks the mom, like, oh, so what do you think? And the mom's like, well, you could be a little bit more humble if you really want to know my opinion. And, then the mom talks to the producer, like, her confessional, and just says, like, she just doesn't have a good feeling. Like, she can see Rachel is happy, but doesn't want her to be disappointed. And she says that when she first laid eyes on Doug, she just got a sick feeling in her stomach. Like, this isn't going to end well. Trust that gut, trust that instinct. So, they go to have lunch, Doug, Rachel, and Dougie Jr. And, Dougie Jr. is just steadily being disrespectful. But I don't blame him, He's like asking his dad, like, so did you drop the soap in prison? And calling him like a weirdo, like, stop looking at me, weirdo. And again, Doug the dad is kind of just like taking it in stride, just like, kind of shaking his head. Dougie Jr. calls him a filthy womanizer at the table. I'm just like, this kid. I mean, but again, like, I don't blame him. Like, he's hurt, he's angry, and this is the only way he can like express it. And like I said, Doug Sr. is kind of giving him a pass, kind of just like, okay, But he tells him a little bit like, hey, you need to show a little bit more respect. Like, I am your father. And, Dougie Jr. is kind of just rolling his eyes like, okay, whatever, And, like I said, I think for the moment, because it's still like, he's only been out for 1 day. They're just reconnecting. Doug Sr.'s letting it slide, but not for much longer. He's like, pretty soon I'm going to really have to put this kid in check. Because, I don't tolerate the disrespect. And I wouldn't either if I were a parent. But, I mean, you haven't been around. Like, so I'm saying, like, we got to get into some family therapy and, like, separately, too, to, like, work these things out. Like, it's too much for, like, a kid to have to process all this. I don't know. Like, again, I'm no psychologist. It's just my humble opinion. But I mean, whatever. I mean, I hear, you know, the YouTube streets are talking that Rachel and Doug aren't even together. And guess what? He's got a new girlfriend. I mean, no shock, you know, to me, probably no shock to Dougie Jr. I mean, it's business as usual. So I don't know. We still have a long season ahead of us. So we'll see what happens. We'll just leave them there for now. Oh, this kid though, I want to, I want him, I want to help him. Okay, I'll leave it there. Deontay and Nicole, what can I say? I mean, at this point, maybe they're both playing it up for the cameras because it's just like, this is dumb. I mean, it's just, okay, so let me just get into it, okay? Deontay picks Nicole up to take him to his apartment. Well, their apartment, he says. You know, she opens the door, it's like rose petals everywhere, candles, all very romantical. He takes her to the room where there's more gifts laid out on the bed, you know, the watches, the purses, the sneakers, you know, the lingerie, all that stuff. She loves it. You know, she's still talking to Zach, but, you know, now looking at the spread, she's just like, I think I made the right decision by coming to Deontay's home. Like, yeah, I like this. So he's kind of like over her, like, oh, you know, try on the lingerie, like put it on for me. And she's like, you know, you can tell she feels a little, not pressured, but, you know, she feels like she's got to give him something, you know. She's not an idiot. So she's like, all right, like, I'll try it on for you, but, you know, you cannot touch. Like, you can look, but you cannot touch. And he's like, okay, like, he'll take what he can get at this point. And as she's putting it on, she's, you know, sharing with the camera that, you know, she dances all the time in prison, or she used to dance all the time in prison for other inmates, or if, like, a girlfriend wanted her to dance for another girlfriend, she would. She'd pour the water on her. Like, she knows all the tricks, okay? And she also knows that her dancing can get people quite excited. So she knows what's about to happen. You know, she goes out there, you know, with her ass out. He's sitting there, again, like leering, like, yeah, like she's just kind of just sort of twirling around. And he's just like, dance for me. And it's just very just like icky to me, right? And then she's like, okay, you know, he takes off his shirt. So now he's like bare chested. And she does this sort of like half-ass lap dance because you can clearly see she's not into him. She's not into this. She's not in the mood. You know, she does like a little like, you know, kind of shimmy, and then she kind of like turns around like, no, like, I'm just too uncomfortable. It's because, like, you know, I don't have any boobs to even fill this out, and, you know, if I did, then you know, this would be so much better. And I'm sure he's aroused, and he's just looking at her like, okay, you want boobs? Okay, like, we can do that. And she's like, okay. She kind of like backs up like, well, until I get boobs, you know, no sex. And he's just like, what? And she kind of saunters off, and he like falls to his knees and like crawls after her like, no, don't do this to me. And she like shuts the door on him. I mean, okay, you know, she's good. I mean, if this were real, because I think he's playing it up a little bit, she's good. Like, she just dangles the carrot in front of him. Just enough, and I mean just barely enough. So she actually asks him to take her home to her mom's house. She's not even gonna spend the night and, like, you know, she doesn't want to have sex, but she won't even like cuddle with him, like nothing. And he's not necessarily fine with it, but what can he do? He goes to pick her up the next morning, and that's when we learn that she had been taken back to her mom's house, and he's irritated, and he tells her, like, you know, last night wasn't cool, like, I'm still upset about it. And she's just like, why? Like, because I didn't want to have sex with you? Well, you know how I feel. Like, I just got out of prison. Like, I'm not comfortable yet. And she tells the camera, like, it's way too soon to have sex because, you know, they barely know each other. He doesn't even know what her favorite color is. Like, how can you have sex with somebody who doesn't even know what your favorite color is? I mean, I don't know how you do that. I don't know. And he's like, look, like, if you don't get why, you know, this is, like, upsetting and why it's not cool, like, then, you know, how it is, like, for me as a man, then, you know, I'm just gonna put that in the back of my head. I'm like, no, what you should do is end it. Like, clearly she doesn't want to be with you. She doesn't want to sleep with you. She doesn't want to be intimate with you. Like, what are you putting in the back of your head for? That should be the sign that this ain't a thing, Deontay. It's all in your head. He drops her off at the salon because she's gonna get some extensions put in, and she meets up with her homegirl, her prison homegirl, Audrey, who just recently got out. When they show Audrey's like picture, like, damn, could they pick a worse picture? The girl has like a black eye. I'm just like, damn, like, poor Audrey. But, you know, Audrey's her like prison homegirl. She's there to meet so they can kind of catch up, and, you know, they're telling the woman who's putting in like Nicole's extension's like, yeah, she just got out of prison. And the stylist is like, wow, okay, like, how does it feel? And she's like, it's great, you know. I'm hanging out with Deontay, and he's bought me like Michael Kors watches and 2 pairs of Jordans and this and that. She's going down the list, and Audrey's like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Like, she knows all about Deontay. She says that, you know, when they were in prison, like, all Nicole had to do was ask and he would give it. Money, gifts, whatever. Like, so she's like, yeah, I'm not surprised, you know, but what do you, she's asking Nicole, like, what do you think he wants in return? And Nicole's like, I know what he wants, but he ain't gonna get it. And I'm like, she knows, like, and so Audrey's like, well, you know, when's the last time you actually had sex? And Nicole's like, with a man or a woman? And Audrey's like, oh, okay, well, either. And Nicole's like, last week. But I thought, like, you know, she didn't want to be touched and she was uncomfortable. Well, she says, you know, it's different with the woman. It doesn't count, and it's not cheating. Like, it just doesn't count. I don't agree. To me, cheating is cheating. Man or woman, doesn't matter. That's just my opinion and philosophy about that. But no, she's like, it's not cheating. You know, she actually had a girlfriend in prison. I think she said her name was Tia a few years ago, that really meant a lot to her, was really special to her, you know, but then Tia got out, and, you know, Tia like found somebody else, but, you know, she still has feelings for her. So they're planning like a girls' night out. I guess Audrey's saying, like, you know, we can invite Tia tonight, like, if you want, like, would you be open to that? And she's just like, yeah, sure, you know, it's cool with me. And I'm just like, but, you know, she's like, Deontay has no idea, like, at all about any of this. Like, yeah, he's clueless. But not. I mean, she's using him. It's just, it's exhausting. Their storyline is exhausting, but I can't even like really care too much about it because I think it's fake. You know, they're not together anymore. You know, clearly the previews we get for the scenes, like, it's a mess. And I don't know, like, I mean, I like Deontay, I know he gets ragged on a lot on the, you know, YouTube and these reviews by other people, but I don't think he's like as dumb as he appears to look. I think it's a little bit of an act, you know, and they're a popular couple on the show. They're bringing the drama, so I guess it's working. I don't know. So that's pretty much it. I guess they're going to have like a girls' night out. We might meet Tia, the ex-girlfriend from, you know, prison, her old prison bae, and that's pretty much it. You know, Deontay's just still being a sucker. And Nicole's still being a user. Stan and Lisa, this couple cracked me up. So I saved them for last. And they kind of had a short segment, you know. Stan finally gets Lisa home, and you can tell her attitude and her mood has changed from when he first picked her up at the prison, you know. And I guess we can assume it's because of the call she had with her son, where he said he was stressed out, and now she's stressed out. You know, Stan's just like, I can't wait to get you inside. And she's like, yeah, I bet you can't. Like, she just seems like annoyed with Stan now. You know, she gets in the house, he takes her to the room she'll be staying in, and she's just like not impressed. Like, this TV's smaller than the one I had in prison. He's like, well, you know, at least it's not prison. And, you know, she's trying to settle in. He's trying to be affectionate with her, but she's just kind of being cold to him, and he sees it, and you know, it bothers him. She finally goes outside, like on the deck, to have like a cigarette. He comes out and is like rubbing her shoulder, like, you know, how are you doing? You know, how are you? He's trying to like get close to her, and she's just like, I'm not good. Like, you know, I'm upset. Like, and you know, and I'm hurt by you because, you know, I'm trying to tell you that, you know, my son, you know, I need to help him. And I thought like maybe you would offer like that he'd come and stay here with us. And you didn't even offer that. And he's just like, yeah, no, like I'm, you know, kind of like, I'm just getting to know you, you know, I don't really know him. Like, let's take it slow. Like, you can work things out with your son and be helpful, but, you know, it's like way too soon to be moving your family in. But she's just like offended. I mean, I think she expected way too much. I mean, he is not a total sucker like Deontay. Like, you know, he might be an old fool, but he's not a sucker. You know, he's not about to move her whole family in. And I don't know if that's she thought could happen. I don't know if she really is trying to scam him the way the friend said she might be, like bringing somebody else in, like, you know, to distract. I don't know. But he's just like, no, like, you know, to the camera, he's just like, I don't feel comfortable at all yet. Like, you know, that'd be way too much, you know. So she's just like, well, look, like, I know you had plans for the night for us, and it doesn't seem to be going that way, because, like, I need to help my son. Like, I need to be there for my son. He's like, okay, then. be there for your son. Do what you got to do. Figure it out. And she's like, look, like if this were your kids, you know, you wouldn't hesitate to like be there in a second for them. He's like, yeah, but you know, I raised my kids right. You didn't. He's 22-year-old man. Like he needs to figure it out, get a job, be on his own. Like, what do you want me to do? And she's just like offended. Like, cause you know, he told her basically, again, an ain't shit mom, and you know, you fucked your kids up. And she's just like, you son of a bitch. Like, I'm out of here. She's getting her stuff together. Like, and he's just like, go, fine. I don't care. Do what you gotta do. Like, I'm not gonna apologize for the things I said. She's like gathering up her stuff. She walks out. She says that she has a couple grand on her, so she's gonna get a hotel for the night and figure it out. But she says this is how he gets when he drinks. He like gets nasty, mean, rude, crazy, angry, and she's been down that road with her other husbands. Like she didn't have to put up with it. She ain't gonna stand for it. You know, he's a little irate, I think, because yeah, he's saying like, you know, I brought her here. I wanted to have a good time, like open her up to like a new world. And you know, she hasn't even like been affectionate. All she can do is talk about her son, you know, and she's just like, you know, he expects me to drop my family and just be with him. Like, I will never choose you over my family. Like, he's going to learn that the hard way. So she leaves. He's upset. That's it. I mean, they're crazy. And I would think like, okay, well, that's it. That took a turn real quick. But no, like I said, we get previews. I don't even think we're halfway through the season. They're going to get back together and, you know, more hijinks and hilarity will ensue. So that's it. I'm sorry if this review is kind of all over the place. I've just had such a busy week and I really wanted to get this up. I don't want to like miss an episode. And so I've just been playing catch up. So thank you for tuning in. You know, rate, comment, subscribe if you like. And I'll see you next time with a better review, I promise. Have a good night. Bye.